We will start in 2 minutes, so we can let people join. All right, I think we're good to start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussions on lessons that we can learn from our neighboring countries. And today's focus is Jordan. My name is Saba Bakhtiar, and I am the program manager at Takween Accelerator. And it's my absolute pleasure to be your moderator for the day. We have been running this series of lessons that we can learn from our neighboring countries since the beginning of 2023, with the aim of learning from these neighboring countries and see if it's possible to have similar approach to the challenges that they were facing and the challenges that we are facing, and see if we can replicate these approaches. So far, we covered Egypt, Turkey, and we had great discussions with amazing panelists, and we had so much to learn and so many takeaways. And today, we're wrapping with another country that has a flourishing entrepreneurial ecosystem. And today we're focusing on Jordan. We have two remarkable panelists joining us. We have Ms. Janzet and we have Mr. Rabi. I will briefly introduce them, but I would love for them to also introduce themselves when I start directing the questions at them. Ms. Janzet is a seasoned expert in international trade and economic development with the focus on enhancing the competitiveness of Jordanian SMEs. She is currently the program manager at the Innovative Startups and SMEs Fund, which is ISSF. And she has worked with organizations like United Nations, EU, USAID, and ILO. We also have Mr. Rabi, who brings over 15 years of experience in project management and entrepreneurship advocacy as the manager of the Orange Jordan Startup Acceleration Program, BIG. He has been instrumental in guiding startup. His technical expertise in electronic and telecommunication engineering, along with his global perspective, open up valuable growth opportunities for startups. Jordan prides itself on a high level of entrepreneurial activity. The country has nurtured several successful startups. We have Arabia Weather, we have Abjad, we have some promising enterprises of Monojo, we have Mawdu, we have Tomatum. These successes are in part due to multiple incubators, accelerators, and investment programs available alongside with supporting ecosystem in general. So today we will explore the Jordan's successes and see how they can inspire Iraq's entrepreneurial ecosystem in various areas. Before we start the discussion, I would like to share some housekeeping points with you. As you can see, we are live streaming this session and recording it. So you will have the recorded version later on shared with you. If you have any question, please feel free to write it down in the chat box or the Q&A box. And if you are watching on Facebook, please feel free to write it down in the comment section. In the last 15 minutes of this discussion, we will have the chance to go over these questions and answer them. So without any further ado, let's dive in and discover valuable insights for fostering innovation, supporting and empowering startups. I would like to start my first question, directing it toward you, Janzet. As we start the discussion and explore the topic of enhancing the Iraqi entrepreneurial ecosystem and learning from Jordan, we know Jordan has made a significant progress in enhancing its competitiveness of its startup and SMEs. What do you think are the key strategies or initiatives that have contributed to this success, and how, as Iraq, we can learn from these experiences to foster our own startup and SME development? Oh, you are muted.
Okay. Thank you so much, Savo, and it's a pleasure to be with you here today. And I hope we can pass on as much knowledge as we can for you to shorten your ability to enhance your ecosystem in entrepreneurship and innovation and startup development. Just to give you a quick background on, I'm representing ISSF. ISSF is an innovative startup and SMEs fund. We are a 98 million fund. We operate as a private sector. We have a CEO, we have a board, and we have a good governance system for managing investments. We invest directly in startups, and we invest also in funds. And we have a capacity building program that I manage under programs. So we do the capacity building for startups under incubation and acceleration. And actually, Rabia, they're managing also from the part of Orange, they're managing the AI incubator with the ISSF, focusing on artificial intelligence. So this is the background about the ISSF, and I'm willing to answer any question you might have on it. ISSF is responsible for enhancing the ecosystem. We are the biggest fund so far, and we are mobilizing additional funds into Jordan by investing in other startups. So the question was, how did Jordan succeed in enhancing? We listened to the startups, to what they need. And Jordan has had a problem in financing, be it for existing young startups or established businesses as in growth stage. So it's always been a challenge. It's like, how can we access finance? So equity investment is a very good channel for accessing finance. So and it's a tool that hopefully it has already been leveraged by the ecosystem, and this is why you're seeing Jordan as having a blossoming startup industry that not only is existing in Jordan, but also they're moving around the region. They're expanding their market in the region and globally. So this is it. Listening to the startups. This is what we need to do.
I was muted as well. Yeah, I think that's something that always happens with these online sessions. I was about to say that we as Iraq also face the issue of access to finance, and we're kind of in the process of seeing how we can tackle that and how the government and different stakeholders in the ecosystem can support that. So I think, yes, definitely starting by listening to the startup would be the first and most initial step that we should take. Thank you so much. Mr. Rabia, building on Janzet's insights, you've worked with various entrepreneurship programs and have a deep understanding of the startup ecosystem. Could you share some successful examples of how Jordanian startups have expanded internationally, or what are the strategies that Jordan has employed to help its startup access regional but also international markets, because access to market beyond the national borders can open new growth opportunities for startups initially.
Yes, I mean, again, thank you again for the invitation. I hope we can all together bring up some valuable information and lesson learned to the Iraqi system that we, to be honest, all looking forward to see it growing and to collaborate together, because as you know, like Iraq and Jordan has been always in a great relationship, especially, and seeing the Iraqi startups growing today, I think it gives us a good push to continue what is happening, what has been done already, and to work more together to come up with the results that we all looking to see at the end of the day. Going back to the question, yes, we have, and we are very proud of a very good success stories that came from Jordan. I know so many, I'm sure you, Jinsad, we all know very good names. Starting with, I don't know if Savu, you are familiar with Maktub. Maktub was one of the very, very beginning startups when the term entrepreneur wasn't even probably known here in the region. Like, we didn't know what entrepreneurship is, and they were get acquired by Yahoo, and followed by so many examples like Taqs al-Arab, as you mentioned. And recently we had one of the biggest deals in the region was Jawakir with more than $200 million dollars of equity. So many questions, so many examples, and so many entrepreneurs. They proved that the Jordanian ecosystem has been improved, and they can bring a good profiles of startups. Personally, if I want to take an example, I was very impressed with the startup that I was involved with from the very first beginning, when they were even born, and that was part of the big acceleration program they called Arabot. I don't know if you know. Arabot is a Jordanian startup founded by two intelligent people, Abdullah Faza and Dr. Qais Hassan. Basically, it's one of those first startups here in Jordan that they focused on the chatbot businesses, and what made them succeed, I believe, in that part, and what they made them growing, and they are in a different markets today, including Saudi, and hopefully will be in Iraq very soon as well. They focused from the beginning on being regional. So they didn't come up with that solution that only can fulfill a small gap that they only need, and their only limited cycle need. The vision wasn't there from the beginning, and they looked into the right partners. And that time when they decided to join Big by Orange, because they had Orange in mind as their first partner, and they succeeded to do it with of course, a push of the Big as a program to support startups. That Orange was their first client. So if you look into it, like, you have the vision, you know who you want to work with from the beginning, and of course the technology is very important, but the technology is there to help you succeed your business. You don't need to build a business just to prove that I'm using the technology. This is something that most of the startups, they sometimes lack. Like, and Set and I, we see it like now we have an incubator focus on AI, for example. So they come and they start searching for a solution to use the AI. And no, this is not what you need. The AI or all the technology is there to help you succeed your idea and your business. So this is the thing. And of course, you have to attract investors. Investors, again, we all agree that we have a challenge, I would say, attracting investor in Jordan, and I believe the same thing you have in Iraq and in the region in general. But trust me, the good startup, the good team, and the good idea that attract investors for sure. This is what I think, and of course we have a responsibility as an ecosystem to provide the right ecosystem, to provide the right infrastructure for these startups to succeed. So to answer your question, is definitely a combination of all of that. You need to have a vision. You need to make sure that your solution is a solution for the market, not something that you just like. You need to have a solution that you found a need in the market, and again, you keep working on your solution, improve it, even pivot it or change it as per the market needs. So this is what you need to be flexible. You need to be surrounded by good partners, by good believers, to have a good connection with your ecosystem first, then the regional ecosystem, and of course to have, I mean, in your mindset that I want to be global, not just to be where I am today. So this is basically what we believe is the main successful keys.
Thank you. I think with this session, the more I realize that our entrepreneurs, no matter where they are, they go through the same journey and the same trouble and the same challenge, and they have the same mindset and misunderstanding. So I think these discussions are a proof for our entrepreneurs in Iraq as well to understand they are not alone. Everyone is going through the same things, but there are also hope on the other side. With a tunnel, you can make it because your peers have made it. I think both of you right now, even from the beginning, Janzet, you emphasized on the collaboration. You have a collaboration right now with BIG, and I feel I believe that collaboration and networking are very essential for a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. I would love to direct this question to you, Janzet. How have you seen the partnership between startups, established businesses, or educational institute contribute to the growth of Jordan ecosystem? Muted.
I think this is you're touching the soul of entrepreneurship and startup business. Usually startups start at a young age. Usually like within university, slightly after university. This is where youth are more energetic. They don't have responsibilities. Not all will be married, so they can afford to work and start a business and invest their time in an idea, in developing an idea. So I just want to go back to my notes. So the entrepreneurship industry in Jordan can really, can you go back to your point in the end, please? I just want to write it down.
Sure. I just wanted to touch upon the collaboration that has been happening between different stakeholders.
And the education, yes, I forgot that point, yes, which is the most important point, yes. So in our incubation acceleration programs, we work with one university called the HTU, Hussein Technical University. And within this university, there's we try to work with graduates or with startups that have graduated from this university. So this is the idea. So the heart of incubation heart of startup comes from educational system. Now we're working on strategies where we encourage entrepreneurship is a culture. Okay, so we need to, in general, our culture is judgmental. So it's like you either fail or succeed, but there's nothing in between. Now with the venture, it's called venture industry because there's risk, there's very high risk. So the society has to accept that risk. And so we need to look at failure as a way towards succeeding. And this is how we encourage entrepreneurship, especially for our youth. And I know in Iraq and in Jordan, we have similar issues related to unemployment. So we cannot continue to create jobs for as government, for citizens within the government. So they need to start working on creating their own business. So these are opportunities, and actually we're seeing good numbers, good turnaround from employment generation from incubated startups and in accelerators also. So we are getting more job opportunities from these activities. And also in investment, when you invest in a company, you allow the company to grow, but you don't want it to grow too fast. You want it to grow with the people. So my advice also to startups is to think gradually, don't grow fast, because sometimes growing fast, having a big market and without the system, proper operational system for the startup allows you to fail. And the market does not accept failures. There's a reputation in the market. So be careful about that.
Thank you so much. I think what we can take away from that is that there are communication and there are very good collaboration between different stakeholders and different actors, from the educational institutes, universities, and so on, to the investment funds. So there's a funnel. It's a right kind of journey that I think the Jordanian citizens go through when they are thinking about starting their own business. Focusing on a specific sector, Janzat, I have a follow-up question for you. I think Jordan has shown a notable advancement in the service sector, especially when it comes to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship in the service sector. Considering this, what lessons can Iraq apply to develop its own service-based startups and foster a culture of innovation?
Just to go through definitions, services are anything that does not relate to a commodity. It's a facilitation. So consulting is a service. There are so many service sectors. ICT is a service, e-commerce is a service, and so forth. So and ISSF, and this is our background, we work on IT-enabled services, because IT allows for acceleration, allows for traction, and allows for expansion also. You can go global so quickly with ICT using an IT infrastructure. So this is the trick, you know. It's in services we are working more towards supporting industry services that are IT enabled, and this allows for quick traction. And we are an investment fund, so we need to invest in startups and we need to exit at a certain point. So this allows us to achieve our objective as an investment fund.
True, and I think that's something that our angel investors that are part of our programs can take away, is that they also need to think about their exit strategies and exit plans. And I think that is something that a bit overlooked here, and it's something that we can work on. Mr. Rabi, as the manager of the Orange Jordan Startup Acceleration Program, you've been involved in strategic planning for startups. What are some key elements for effective strategic planning that have contributed to the success of these startups that you just mentioned and I mentioned in the beginning? How we as Iraq, or as Iraq's aspiring entrepreneur, we can incorporate this practice into their own ventures eventually.
Again, as we said, definitely you need to have a very clear vision and goals for the startups. Like the startups today, in order to move on with their businesses and in the same time attract the investment, they need to have the right plan. in order to do that, they need to have a proper full market research, like, is my product or service has a need? Am I working in the right market? Do I need to? So accordingly, you need to differentiate, like you have to have a differentiation, let's say, from the other, to come up with a value proposition as a startups. Identify what make me different today. What is my a unique selling point? I need to have the right proposition in to stand on it, and make for myself my own, let's say, positioning. Definitely, the business model should be scalable. Again, as Jen said, by definition, we have kind of a definition today as for the startups. By the way, it changed from a country to country, changed from time to time, but there are a few elements that we all agreed on. Like, for example, it has to be scalable. It has to have an age. For example, in Jordan, the last thing we agreed, it's up to 10 years, but could be 15 or 30 years somewhere else. I know in the US it's even less than that. So you have to have a benchmark accordingly to start working on that. So definitely the business should be scalable, and to make sure, do I have the resources to do this business? Am I in the right business, in the right place, in the right time? So all of those all together make you build your clear vision and goal for that startups. Back to your question, to do Iraq, basically, again, we need to focus on the vision. We need to have for the startup. I'm all talking about the startup, what they have to do today, how to identify themselves, how to position themselves, how to understand the market there. Am I here with a huge competition? I'm coming here, or there is a very, very good term, which is the blue ocean. Today, there is a lot of new areas that startups, they can tackle and they can succeed. You don't need to come. If I see a successful, let's say, Uber model or whatever, I don't need to replicate it. It's already happening. It's succeeding the way it is. Maybe there is 2 or 3 competitors, but do I need, from now, with a business that already existing, working very well, do I need to go there and compete, or I can come up with the new ideas, make my own positioning, make myself attractive to partners, to investors, to clients. So all of that together help, I would say. Of course, there is a lot of elements. The team is very important. Who is managing? Who's doing that? Do I have the right people? Am I the only person? If I'm very good at technical, I can't necessarily be good at sales. I might be horrible in managing people. So I need to identify where I'm standing, who do I need to succeed this business, and understand my market and my resources. So all of that together need to be identified from the beginning, I believe.
Thank you. Again, I feel like these are the same things that we constantly talk about with our entrepreneurs and startups in our program. So I'm happy that they get to hear it again from your side as well.
We can, yeah, we all know it. It's all about, again, sometimes it's worth mentioning. Some startups come to me, Rabia, we have an idea, but I'm not sure if I can share it or whatever. Like, the first answer to them, like, by the way, the idea you have, even without me knowing it, I can guarantee right now, while we're talking, there is 100,000 people thinking of the same thing. It's not about the idea, it's all about the execution. Can you do it? Do you have the right team to do it? Do you have the vision to do it? And do you have the resources to do it? If not, your ideas, we can now just brainstorm and we can come with 10 ideas in 2 minutes. So it's all about the execution and the team.
True. It's who's gonna take the risk and just do it. Who has that,
Passion,
spirit.
belief, energy, resources, everything.
Definitely. I want to go back to you, Janzet, and I would like to know or focus a little bit on ISSF. And is there any specific sector that you guys are very interested in and have been focusing on when it comes to your investment? Just to see how is the focus from your side.
In general, it's like we've gone through fintech, financial technology. We've gone through edutech, green tech. These are mainly like and restaurant, food and beverage industry. It's like these are, and they're tech enabled. These are mostly and e-commerce basically also. AI also, we are involved in it. We're also involved in cybersecurity. We're also, because ISSF is also a national kind of an organization, so we're looking at sectors that of priority to Jordan, to the economy. So this is like the banking sector is very important for Jordan. It's a strategic sector for Jordan also. So we're focusing on that, on the fintech. Pharma is an industry as a commodity, not a service, but logistics is very important to support industry. So we also, logistics is another sector. Health tech is big. But in reality, we are accepting good ideas in all these sectors. We're not saying, you know what, we have a quota in this sector, we can't. No, we're accepting all good ideas, and the ideas that have potential of growth are the ideas that are really more suitable to our heart. Because, you know, we're in the end an investment fund. We need to make money, so we reinvest our earning in new other startups. So it's a business in the end. True,
definitely. So your experience with international organization, United Nations, EU, has been very valuable, I'm pretty sure. How, based on your experience, how has Jordan effectively aligned its organization, especially when it comes to business support organization, with Jordan's strategic objective? Because we also have a lot of international organizations here in Iraq, in a way or another, supporting or providing funds to these business support organizations. But how we can align Iraq's objective with their objective? How can we make this collaboration or partnership more effective, but also beneficial for our ecosystem here in Iraq?
Tell you, this was, it has been a challenge, and since GIZ is also involved, GIZ, they know, they're familiar with the challenges we've had in duplicated work coming from different donor organizations. So what we wanted to do was, there was a PMU, project management unit, established, and this coordinates all donor activities. And coordinates, meaning that it funnels all activities towards achieving the desired objective under the strategy. We have right now, we used to have before Jordan Vision 2025, and now we have Jordan Modernization, Economic Modernization Plan, and this is directing us up to 2032. As far as I know, but we have an action plan for the coming up till 25. They've developed an action plan. So basically, you need to funnel it down, go from key strategy down to where are the areas where donors can support and intervene, and allow donors to communicate also. And somebody has to lead and guide this communication to support the economic objectives of the country.
I was recently in a meeting with different stakeholders in the Iraqi ecosystem, and we discussed this, and we discussed the need of having some sort of unit that combine all of us, but also represent us to talk with these different international organizations. So there are no replicate programs, and we are completing the funnel, each of us supporting the startups in our own with areas that we have experience at and we know that we are strong at. So we don't have the same people in the same program over and over and over again. Mr. Rabia, this year we started or piloted our mentorship program where we had individuals interested in mentoring startups, but they did not know how to do that. So we started a program. And I know mentoring plays a crucial role in supporting startup access. And you have experience as a mentor. I would love for you to kind of share with us how or highlight how mentorship programs have contributed to the growth of Jordanian startups. And what advice would you give to Iraq in establishing effective mentorship initiative within our own entrepreneurial ecosystem?
My opinion, there is no good startup or good entrepreneur that doesn't have mentor, or at least one mentor. You can't imagine how effective and important for any startup, especially actually in all stages, they need mentors, and they need what is challenging, I think, was the definition of mentorship. Like I always like to just mention that, like unfortunately, like some mentors, they play the role of coach or a consultant, or it is very important as a mentor to have a very good experience in the field you are mentoring your mentee in. But it doesn't mean you tell him what to do. This is especially for startup, because it is very important to play as mentors, to be there to support the entrepreneur to take their own decisions. We're not there to replace them or to take over their decisions and tell them what to do. I always refer it to like raising a kid. Like, it's very important to tell them what's right, what's wrong, but at some stage, like, you give them the room to decide for themselves, of course, with the difference in the level of and the maturity of the people. But the thing is, being a mentor is someone who's really willing to give of their time, of their knowledge, and most of the time, and always, mentors are usually experienced people. A lot of time they are in a very high managerial or C-level positions that they are busy, but they decide to give that 1 or 2 hours a week to someone they believed in and they want them to succeed. So going back to your, I'm happy to hear that there is a mentorship programs being done, because as we said, it is very important for the mentee, but it is more important to the mentor to understand what mentorship is, what to do and what to do, what to say and what not to say. Believe me, sometimes I know so many examples of mentorship, mentor-mentee relationship that they have a very close relationship that goes to the personal level, and they start consulting each other and supporting each other with even not really business-related issues, but just because they build that relationship, that a great understanding of each other's so they became friends, and they start supporting each other. So definitely an instrumental and objective mentorship is definitely a very important program. Through programs, I would say, to provide that experience that some people they already have, but they have to do it with a will, not just because they were sometimes like, okay, I know Jen said, please come be a mentor for my startups. If it's not here, if it's not something she wants to do and she's willing to do, definitely it might create issues with startups. They had to take decisions out. Sometimes they were shy to tell their mentor because usually there is a difference of experience and even age sometimes. So you have to do that, or no, it's not that. So again, having a structured mentorship program is very important, but it's very important to know what mentorship is, especially for the mentors. The mentee, they just want someone to help them. They just want someone to tell them sometimes what to do. But it is all about that relationship that could be happening once a week or could happen once a month. It's all about how this relationship goes, but has to be done. If you decide to be a mentor, you have to commit to this relationship. And also, if you are a mentee, you have to be responsible for this relationship and to give it, and from your time, from your effort, and from your even space of business, like, because that mentor decided to give you from a very, otherwise he will not come to you. If he didn't have that experience, he didn't have the knowledge, he wouldn't be there to. And the other thing, if I may,
Sure.
It is our part as I would say enabler or ecosystem, as Big BioRange and ISS, all the stakeholders, the accelerators, the incubator. It is our mission because we have a good relationship with startups, and at the same time we have a good relationship with mentors and people that they don't know they can be mentor, but they could be perfect mentors. So to do the matchmaking, I think it is our responsibility to do that. So having a program, just give them how to do mentorship in the right way, help them to plan it and to execute it, and also matchmake it, but not to take it into a coaching or you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I think we had to emphasize on the fact that these mentors are not there to make decisions on your behalf. They are there to give you advice based on their experience and lifetime experience. So I'm happy to hear that we are on the same page when it comes to mentorship. And I'm pretty sure, Mr. Rabia, out of these mentorship sessions that you are doing, out of the graduate of the incubators and so on, a lot of startups come to you and look for funding opportunity to grow. So what strategies or approach have you observed that have been effective in attracting investors to Jordanian startups based on your experience?
Attracting investors, this is everybody's challenge today. Like, this is what all we're trying to do. What investors looking for? Let's be realistic today. Investor looking for a payback. They are investing. They are, as you mentioned and just said, they're looking for exit. More than the startups, the investors looking for the exits more than the startups. So, where to find the exit? Where to find that successful business or the successful startup? There's elements. Everybody easy check boxes, of course, to start the value proposition. The startup must have a strong value proposition. They know their traction. They have, even if they have traction and vision, where they're going. By the way, it's very important to understand what is the difference between investors as well. There is, as we all know, we have the 3 Fs. We have angel investors. We have seed, pre-seed, post-seed, and Series A, etc. Each investor looking for something. First, the friends, family, they're looking. They believe in you. For example, I'm a startup. I have an idea, and my family, they trust me. They know I'm a serious person. I can't be that person who started that business. They trust me. They give me for no guarantees. Somehow, the same with the angel investors. The angel investors usually they do through networks. There is always referrals. And sometimes they just headhunt someone they like and they trust and they believe in as well. But when we talk about a big investment, when we talk about ventures, when we talk about VCs, there are some elements they need to see. As we said, they need to see the traction. They need to see a market positioning, or at least a potential market positioning and scalability. This is what investors put their money in. Show us that I'm capable to run a good team and already have that team that can execute that idea and can reach me into that goal I'm promising you with.
Yeah.
And of course, I can see you have, as we said again, you are in the right network. You already show me that you already know what you have, your product, scalable business, and you have the right team. And this is what investors. How many times did we hear that from investors that I don't invest in idea, invest in people? It's all about people. It's technology. Again, technology is a tool. You use it to succeed your business. If you have an idea, you prove that this idea, even with zero sales, we call it sometimes, like, that you prove there is someone was interested in your idea. Prove that, show the investor that you have attraction, you have a plan for the next 3-5 years with the right team and the ability to share that. What else he needs? He definitely will invest in you. So if we summarize it, value proposition, a track record, highlight the market potential and the scalability, showcase a capable and experienced team, and at the end, leverage on the network and the relationship that you already have. And of course, then the investor will help you to with their network, with their experience, with their capacity, because he doesn't want you to fail. They want you to succeed, but you prove to him that you have the main elements, and definitely the VC will help you in that going forward.
I think I heard you say exactly the same thing that John mentioned a while ago. And I think this goes back to the collaboration and the conversations that is ongoing between all of different stakeholders in the Jordanian ecosystem. So you know what ISSF is looking for, you relate this to your startups, you make sure they understand this is the way for you to grow as a startup, have the great team, have scalability, have a good value proposition. So I think I asked that question just to see from your point of view, and I think you proved that it's actually the same for investors and the same for the enablers. John Z, besides ISSF, can you just highlight some successful initiative or mechanisms in Jordan that have facilitated access to finance for startups?
It's like startups need different financing, just like Rabia has mentioned, different stages. It's like you need the angel investors, you need to access banks, you need to access family and friends and what they call as fools, because they were investing in an idea that, it might materialize or not. So each stage, you need to, as a country, you need to support that and nurture that entrepreneurship ecosystem. So you need to develop like the angel network. It's very important. And I think angels are, I don't know if you disagree with me, Rabia, angels are the best mentors that startups can get, really, and from my opinion. So, and then there are convertible notes. We, as ISSF, we provide convertible notes, meaning it starts with debt and it turns into equity. So this is a model that can be used. We've used it, and we can grow it. I don't know if ISSF wants to grow it or not, but we're shifting our strategy towards investing in funds because ISSF has a very small team. So you need to understand as an investment fund, what is your size and how much you want to grow. For us, we want to stay lean and a small organization. So plus there are banks. Banks are working also there. Right now, the economy is changing, so banks do not know really where to invest. So it's an investment tool for banks to invest in startups. So there might be a return on investment and really a huge return if you get unicorns. So this is it to support banks in providing loans and in creating angel networks. So now we have banks as investment arms in equity, and we have banks as angel networks they're establishing, and families, groups of families, they're establishing their own angel networks, investing in young startups. So it's different channels, and even in venture capital, you need a capital market if you want to IPO, reach a stage of IPO. You want to facilitate mergers and acquisitions. So this is another exit strategies. So all of this, but when you think about the startup itself, the startup needs to decide what kind of growth it wants to have, whether equity would be a good mode of financing, or would loans be more convenient for them? Because it's not easy to get an equity partner, because they start intervening with the way the business is done. So you have to decide as a startup if it's something you want to do or not. It's a strategic decision. Or you establish your startup as ready for acquisition. So let's say you build your idea to be acquired by a bigger elephant. You know, it's like a solution, let's say, for a big firm that you know might be interested in it, so you can target this. So there are so many, and it's all access to finance and strategy of accessing capital. They're all interlinked, and as a government you need to work and facilitate it only, and allow different mechanisms to evolve to support the startup ecosystem in terms of financing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that was very necessary to share today. Rabia, in your experience, what role do government policies and incentives play in attracting investors and facilitating access to finance for startups? What is the role of the government right now?
Well, it is all the responsibility goes to them. No, definitely. Again, as we said, the investors, if they are interested, of course they are interested, but if we want to attract them to come, definitely startups, they have to do things for investors to be attracted. But on the same time, they are coming into a new infrastructure, a new system, etc., of investment as a country. So the same thing has to be done by the government, in my opinion, and I think what we observing from what's happening. They need to be confident once they come into Jordan, for example. They have to have clear policies. They have to have a legal protection. They have. They just need to be confident that I can go and do business in the first place in that country. So another thing that we kind of working on today is as funding support. Today, as you can see, ISSF playing, and they played a great role to attract other investors to come in Jordan, because they see there is a local entities, they are willing to invest, and they are investing already. So why don't I come and have ISSF sitting on my IC and my investment committee? Because if they are they've done all the due diligence, they have done all their work, they are a trusted entity in Jordan. So having someone like them on board, that attracts. So you have to have kind of a support, probably ease the system of loans, even the structure of the, let's say, the equity relationship between the investor and the startup. There is more things that we can do. The tax incentive, for example, we need to work on that. We in Jordan, like for example, IT businesses, they are tax exempted, but we need to include more sectors. If they are startups, if there is an investment going to that, we go back to the definition of startups. If this organization can be defined as startups and they attracting investors, why don't we give them a tax exemption for 1, 2, 3, 5 years? It depends what can we do. Again, so all of these things can be provided by the government to give the investors the confidence to come and be part of the ecosystem in here. So all of this together, and I think answering to your question as well, what you need to do and what we're trying to do, and I think in Iraq as well, you have to do that as well, is influence. And thankfully in Jordan, like we had a Ministry of IT and entrepreneurship, and so that means we have a well. Definitely in our countries things takes time, but I think we are on the right track. We are doing that. We are there is a lot of funds coming to the ministry. There's a lot of programs that managed and led by the government in collaboration with the private sector. We didn't have that before. Now we have a collaboration. We have events. We have ISSF. We have Jordan Investment Fund. We have few activities, few things happening by the government. Trust me, this is what attracts investors to come. And we hopefully, we've seen since ISSF started, we have like Flat 6 Labs, we have more VCs start coming and establishing in Jordan, and that's it. So government is definitely playing the most important role to attract investors and to come into it.
Thank you. I think John said you wanted to.
Yes, I just want to also add a point in relation to capacity building. It can be always subsidized also, but not too much or too long, or you need to be very careful about that. Adding to what Rabih has said. And there's also the fab labs, fabrication labs, and having the right tools. These can also be an amazing support to startups. You know, it doesn't have to be some kind of direct support. It can be also indirect by having giving them the workspace, giving them the right tools to test and sandbox and all of this.
I definitely agree, and I think having successful examples, startups that participate in international accelerators, let's say Y Combinators and so on, give us a chance as well for international investors to see, okay, there's potential. Because unfortunately, the way that media showcase Iraq is very, very different than the reality. And if I was an international investor, I would be hesitant in putting my money into a place that I would see as unstable. But having successful startups, having these sort of discussions that highlight the reality. And I was so happy to hear all of your comments and insight today, because again, it made me realize we are all in the same boat. We all face the same issues, but again, there are solutions for everything. I have a few other questions, but we are running out of time, and I want to open it up for questions from our audience. And we already have few from Facebook. which I will start by reading those on Facebook. But if anyone who is here with us on Zoom and have any questions, please feel free to write it down in the Q&A. Mr. Rabia, the question is, are there any specific requirements or considerations for Iraqi startups applying to the BIG program? So Iraqi startup can apply to big program? Is it possible?
Oh, yeah, definitely. As long as they are in Jordan, they move to Jordan and have a registration, because one of the requirement is to be a company registered in Jordan. I probably didn't have a chance. Maybe if you allow me, very briefly, I would explain a little bit about BIG. BIG
Yes,
by Orange it's basically a program on the group level of Orange that exists in 22 countries today, I believe, under a program called Orange Fab. We targeting startups at the growth stage. So the startups joining the program, they should have a product or at least MVP, and to be a registered company. It's not that complicated. But in order to be to be with us here in Jordan, they have to be registered in Jordan. The program is fully under the corporate social responsibility of Orange. So the whole program delivered for free. It's even paid by Orange, all the activities, event, training, capacity building, access to network, and even international events participation. This is all done by Orange, and it is purely a CSR program. But yeah, answering the question, yes, they can, but they need to be registered in Jordan.
Perfect. The other question is also for you. Are there any potential partnership or connection that big program can facilitate for Iraqi startup interested in collaborating with Jordanian companies or investors? So I believe they mean if there is possibility of big connecting startups in Iraq with potential investors in Jordan.
I think with you, Sawu and Takween, I think we need to take this further, and it's definitely our dream, to be honest, as I mentioned at the beginning, is to open the link and collaboration between Jordan and Iraq. You can benefit from the experience. We have a good portfolio of startups today. They can share their experiences, and also if your startup is if you are willing to move it to Jordan, if you believe Jordan. By the way, Jordan market is very much close to Iraqi market, I think, in terms of culture, so we can do that definitely. We have a very good, let's say, programmers, we have developers, we have, and we would love to do that. I think with Takween, I think, and ISSF, of course, we should be we will work on that, inshallah.
Definitely, we will be more than happy. Our aim and goal is always to support our startups and build that connection to help them grow. So we will be more than happy to do that. Janzed, there's a question that says, is there any specific milestones or targets that startups need to achieve to continue receiving support from ISSF?
I think the question relates to incubation and acceleration, no? Or is it financing?
Financing.
Access to financing. Usually when we invest, we invest in equity. So definitely there are targets they need to achieve, and they need to increase sales, increase profitability based on a plan, projected sales projections and revenue projections. So and ROIs. So it's the plus retention. You need to retain customers, level of retention, because this builds up your customer base. So there are a lot of areas we look at when we decide to invest in a startup, and these are considered more or less as commitments from the startups, because Other than that, it would be a failed investment. So they need to achieve targets. We become like another enforcement on the organization. We help them in enforcing profitability. We need profits. This is the idea, and this is why sometimes you say, is it good to have an equity investor or not? You know, is this what I want as a startup or not? It's not suitable usually for everybody. It depends on the startup itself.
True. The last question, it's also for you. It says, in a perfect scenario, if I have a successful startup in Iraq planning to expand to Jordan, how can I reach out to ISSF for investment and support? Is it possible?
Yes, usually we accept applications online, but they're more than welcome to contact us. And usually what we'd like to look at first is a pitch deck. A pitch deck, it needs to be strong. It needs to tell us more about the business, where they're going, about the team. As Rabia has mentioned, the team is very important because the business is about the team. The team are those who are making the business. So, and we need to see their story, what kind of revenues, where they are heading, how they want to expand, which markets, what do they want? Because you touched a bit on market access, but you didn't dig deep into it. Venture funds help market in support and market access. So it might be facilitated by the fund. So in accessing market, new opportunities and stuff like that. And in Jordan, what we're doing is ISSF is also attracting international funds. So other than local funds, we're looking at international funds who have a different look on the organization. And definitely more of it would be to take them global. So there are different type of funds facilitated by ISSF who will be investing in startups. So definitely we are the step number one for them to reach. And if we find opportunities for that startup, we can connect them with a proper fund, as long as they give us the right story. Yeah. They need to give us the right story.
And I think that's the least that you can ask for, a proper pitch deck to start the conversation. We don't have any more questions. For those of you who shied away from asking questions, you will have the chance. Once we share the recording with all of you, we will also share the LinkedIn profile of Janset and Rabia. If you have any specific question that you would like to ask them, they will try their best to answer these questions within few days. I just want to say thank you so much. This was a great discussion to wrap up this series, and I've wrote down few in my mind, few points, action points that we can take away from this, and hopefully we can share with the decision makers and stakeholders here in Iraq to try to implement these approaches. Janset, Rabia, thank you so much for investing your time, being part of the discussion. I was very enlightened by your inputs. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
And good luck to everybody in Iraq. Best wishes. Bye.
Thank you. We enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.